Did you know that eating expired food could lead to food poisoning, deadly bacteria, or even long-term health damage? You might be risking your life without even realizing it. And here's why you should never ignore expiration dates. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might shock you. Imagine sitting down for a meal, trusting that the food you have stored is safe, only to discover that your body becomes a battleground for unseen invaders. In 2019, a man in the United States consumed pasta that had long passed its expiration date. Within hours, his body was overwhelmed by toxins produced by bacteria that had been silently multiplying. His collapse was not a rare occurrence but a grim reminder of what happens when expired food becomes a hiding place for deadly pathogens. Bacteria such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria can proliferate in foods that have overstayed their prime. They often lurk in places where you least expect them, thriving even when the food looks perfectly normal. A slight change in texture or a barely noticeable odor can be the only warning signs before a full-scale assault on your health begins. In many cases, people experience mild discomfort at first, but the progression can be swift and brutal. What starts as an uneasy stomach quickly escalates into violent vomiting, intense fever, and even seizures that leave you unable to fight back. It is not just the immediate effects. Some molds produce mycotoxins that may lead to long-term damage, such as cancer. This is a danger that preppers and survivalists cannot ignore. Every item in your pantry must be treated with suspicion if it has crossed its date. The truth is stark and unforgiving. A lapse in vigilance can result in irreversible damage. The danger does not announce itself with obvious signs. Sometimes, food that appears perfectly edible is a silent carrier of lethal bacteria. It is a reminder that survival depends on your ability to spot these hidden threats and act before it's too late. The food industry has long fed us a narrative that expiration dates are a measure of safety when, in fact, they are a tool of control. The dates printed on your food labels are not necessarily an indication of when a product becomes harmful. They are often a marketing strategy designed to encourage waste and drive profits. In a system where regulatory oversight is minimal, the government does not enforce strict standards on many of these dates, leaving consumers vulnerable to manipulation. The labels sell by, use by, and best before are not uniform measures of quality or safety. Many products, especially those that are dried or canned, can remain perfectly safe long after the date has passed. Yet, the public is led to believe that any food item with an expired label is dangerous. This misinformation has resulted in millions of dollars of waste and a staggering loss of valuable food resources. For those of us who prepare for worst-case scenarios, this is more than just an inconvenience. It is a threat to our ability to survive. When you discard food based solely on a date, you may be depriving yourself of sustenance in times of crisis. Meanwhile, food companies profit from the constant need to replace items, deepening our dependency on their supply chains. The truth is that expiration dates are often arbitrary, and the criteria used to set them vary widely. This systematic deception forces you into a false sense of security while hiding a dangerous reality. It is time to question what you have been told, for your life may depend on discerning truth from corporate propaganda. The stakes are too high to trust a number printed on a package without understanding its real meaning. How to know if expired food is still safe to eat? When you open a container of food that has passed its printed date, you must be prepared to trust your instincts and rely on practical survival skills. The first line of defense is your sense of smell. A food item that once had a neutral or pleasant odor may suddenly emit a sour or chemical scent, signaling that dangerous bacteria have taken hold. It is not enough to glance at the label and assume safety. You must pay attention to any hint of decay. Texture is another critical indicator. If meat or dairy products feel slimy or develop an unusual consistency, it is a clear sign that the food has begun to spoil. Even eggs, which many consider resilient, have subtle cues. A simple water test can reveal a lot. A fresh egg sinks while one that floats indicates the development of gas from bacterial action. Look closely at the color as well. Discoloration can reveal the onset of decay long before it becomes obvious to the untrained eye. Certain items, like dried beans or honey, have natural preservatives that allow them to remain safe far beyond their printed dates. However, more perishable items like milk or fish can become dangerous within days. Even if an item appears intact, microscopic invaders may be working beneath the surface, waiting to strike. Your survival depends on not taking these cues lightly. Every detail matters when you are in a situation where your health and life could be on the line. In a world where every resource counts, trusting your senses could be the difference between a safe meal and a life-threatening mistake. Always remember that safety does not come from a date stamp. It comes from vigilance and knowledge. Now let's see what to do if you eat expired food. If you find yourself experiencing discomfort after consuming expired food, every second becomes crucial in managing your health. The initial symptoms might be deceptively mild: a slight stomach ache, a feeling of nausea, or a bout of diarrhea. However, these early signs can quickly escalate into something far more sinister. Imagine a situation where your stomach cramps intensify, your body temperature rises sharply, and you begin to experience relentless vomiting. These are not just minor inconveniences. They are warning signals that your body is under attack from toxins and harmful bacteria. As your condition worsens, dehydration can set in rapidly, impairing your ability to think clearly and act decisively. In the worst-case scenario, the toxins can lead to organ failure, plunging you into a life-threatening crisis. It is vital to have a clear plan of action in these desperate moments. First, if you suspect that your body is trying to expel the toxic substances, inducing vomiting may be necessary. This step should be taken only if you are certain it will not cause further harm. Next, activated charcoal can serve as a temporary shield, binding to the toxins and reducing their impact on your system. However, do not rely solely on these measures. If you experience severe symptoms such as uncontrollable vomiting, intense abdominal pain, or a drastic drop in blood pressure, it is imperative to seek emergency medical help immediately. Every moment of hesitation could tip the balance between recovery and a fatal outcome. For those who prepare for emergencies, knowing these critical steps can be the difference between life and death. Trust your instincts, act swiftly, and never underestimate the danger that expired food can pose when it comes to your survival.